We are ready for session 4, the launch sequence events. And yesterday, I actually already recorded this one, but something went wrong. And that is my big reminder for everybody right now. If you are live streaming and that is your recording, have a backup plan. Do also a recording in Zoom because we had an amazing session yesterday. Bianca was there, Aaron was there, Robin was there. It was really, really awesome. And now I'm doing it again. It's been a while since I've done a presentation where I wasn't with a live audience. Either way, I'm still super excited. I'm going to see yesterday as a little rehearsal, and we're going to dive right in. Today, we're going to talk about launch sequences and events. And for whoever is watching the replay right now or is watching me live in the Facebook group, I put the link there. If you want to join live, I am here. I have opened the space for you to join. So it's an extra version of session 4. Everybody who is here, we're going to talk about what we will cover in 90 minutes. We're going to talk about the launch sequence and the events. We're going to talk about create momentum in your audience by using a launch sequence and boost your launch results with launch events. And then there's going to be a Q&A. There are a few questions sent in. I'm going to see if I can replicate the ones from yesterday. But before we dive in, I want to start with a little recap of last week's sessions, last week's questions, the aha moments. I really love reading all your aha moments in the Facebook group for everybody who's in the live round, but also for those who are watching this at a later moment and just going through the course yourself and implementing it all. When you have these aha moments, when you have these breakthroughs, I would love to hear from you and to get a message in my DMs on Instagram to just see like, hey, how is it landing for you? So we talked last week about content types and copywriting mastery, and the takeaways were mostly about the LETAP, the 5 different types of posts that really help you get your audience ready to buy. And Erin also mentioned here the different percentage that I gave you guys. Of course, it is how I'm doing it right now. I might even switch things up. Like I've said many times in this course, creating content is really not a science, although there is some science in it. It is also being the artist, creating, finding your voice, finding what works for you. So I'm giving you these examples, but of course, go and play with it and make it your own. And having this as a baseline of your strategy will really, really help you. And it's really also to see like, okay, in what category have I been lazy? Have I not been showing up? Where can I tune that up so my audience becomes more ready, feels more safe with me, is ready to buy from me? But also, where can I maybe tune it down? Where have I gotten too comfortable with one specific type of content and people already see this from me? Where can I add something else, another flavor? Cynthia also said, let's up. She said, I'm going to balance these different types of content out more as I'm all about the love, but we'll have to shift to other aspects if I truly want to step into that leadership energy. Exactly. This is to open your eyes to show what else is possible and to kind of like see, okay, hey, maybe you've missed some parts here. And David, he turned it around and he said instead of Latab, Taleb, the Arabic name. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right now. And he said it sticks so well in my mind. Awesome. And this is what I want for you. Going through this course, going through these sessions, really make it your own and make it work for you. Then I had a question from Asher Lily. She also said something that it sounded like she got her answer already, but I'm going over it anyway to make sure that this is landing. She had some questions about the different types of posts. So she said, are breakthrough posts part of the trust type of engagement? And are storytelling posts part of trust, engage, and celebration posts as part of engage? Leadership energy is just a vibe of all or specific for one type of content. Let's start with leadership energy. Leadership energy is for everything, for always, for your content, for how you show up in your life, in your business, even not just focused on business, but also how are you showing up in your personal life. That's what we talked about in the first session, of course, to really anchor in your premium identity. And that also comes with that leadership energy. So that is definitely an energy and a vibration that you want to carry and bring into your business, not to any specific post, but really to have that and to energetically be that type of leader for your audience. Then the specific questions, I will go first also into what she shared, because I think she had her aha moment as well already. She said, thanks for the clarity on this. It's really landing now. I'm trying to put it into practice. And that's what I also recommend for everybody here. Put it into practice. Don't just listen to me teaching, but go and do and explore and implement and learn and grow. She said, I realized to focus a lot on engage and often lead with questions and storytelling education posts. So I'm working out how to pivot my content towards more trust and activate, and how I can think about the style of post I've already been posting. Yeah, so it's really about finding a combination of it all. And I will show it with the Let's Up overview, how I created this. This is good to explain probably because in my head it's super clear, but I want it to be super clear for you as well. What you can see with engage, it's at the bottom. So it's here. And that means that you can have a love post that has engagement flavors, or an engagement post with love flavors. You can have a trust post with engagement flavors. You can have a buy post with engagement flavors. In the last session, I gave you some examples of two-step posts, of the really short Facebook posts that give you an option for your audience to reply to that. You can say something about your values there and make it really short and sweet. You can say something about a client testimonial, which then is in trust. You can even do a belief shifting quick quote in the trust. And you can also in buy just be very, very direct, which will mostly land with hot leads. So that's something to play with. And you have like the breakthrough story, which can be really about you and your personal life. And it can also be about your client testimonial, like your client going through their own breakthroughs and then sharing that template there. And the storytelling template you can use almost anywhere, because it's really telling a story, and you can do that about something about your own love factor, about how they can trust you, about how they can buy. So it really is, there's no fixed science. There's no fixed, this type of post belongs here, that type of post belongs there. It's really the combination of it all. And I also want to remove the pressure for you that it needs to happen all in one post. Because you can have a breakthrough story that hits it all, that has a flavor of love, that has a flavor of trust, that ends with a really strong call to action. And then you have like this whole sequence within one post, which means that your one post can get one person completely ready to buy from you, which is awesome. Or at least really ignite that first spark that they think about, okay, wow, I need to buy something from this person. Often people need to see you and things at least 6 times to actually be ready to make that step. And premium buyers can move a lot faster. You will also see this in your own movement, where you're making decisions and rapidly deciding this is my direction, and changing gears when you need to. Is gears the expression? I'm not sure. So this is really to show you, and that's why I wanted to add this one in here. One post does not need to do it all. It's amazing when you can, but also it creates often very long content. And the better you get at creating content, the easier it will get to add more flavors in every post. But I wanted to share this to make this extra clear. Cynthia said, I love how this is, by the way, feedback on a post in the Facebook group from the live launch right now. And that's also one of the main reasons why you want to be in a live launch whenever I'm doing a new program. You have the opportunity to join, to meet amazing people, to get feedback from each other, and to really learn. So Cynthia was reviewing a post from somebody that shared that in the Facebook group. And for whoever has not been posting their homework, this is a big reminder to just post it, share, connect, give feedback on others, receive feedback, because this is really where you learn a lot. Cynthia said, I love how you mix the Let's Up essentials into one piece of content. I see all of the parts in one, super strong. However, personally, this post would be way too long for me to keep my attention. This is my very personal opinion, but seeing all of the Let's Up elements, I think you could easily cut this one piece into multiple pieces of Insta content and keep the whole for your email funnel. And that's a question, so I'm going to answer to that as well. You can put everything in one post. You can post that post. And you can also tear it apart and post it in different snippets somewhere else, which makes content creation already so much easier, because by writing that one long post, you have a lot of different posts as well. People need repetition anyway, so it's really good to repeat yourself. And having these different flavors of shorter posts that For instance, one focuses on social proof, one focuses really on the client journey, another focuses on your method and the phases in your method. You can play with that. And that's also the examples I showed you in last week's session, to have a lot of different options to go and play with and to explore how is it landing. So you definitely can put it all in one post, because some people actually do like to read long posts. I personally like to write long posts. Cynthia has a point that in email, people in your audience are more often willing to read it. But at the same time, some people on your socials might be warm, might be hot, might have a moment of time. How everybody consumes these type of contents is completely different. Sometimes you only have 5 minutes. Sometimes you're really scrolling, and it's better to read a really informative, long, catchy, well-written post than to hop on to the next thing. But of course, people have a short attention span on social media as well. So these are just some thoughts to think about, and there's no right or wrong here, but you can definitely play with all types of flavors here. And just this reminder, I keep reminding you guys of this, it's really an art. There's no fixed formula, and you are the artist. When you start to see yourself as the artist, it becomes so much more fun and light and joyful, and you really get to create from this creative space. Even if you thought that you weren't somebody who's creative at all. I used to think that about myself for a long time, but to really identify myself as, actually, I am an artist. I'm a business owner. I am creating these things for my audience. I'm showing them my creativity here. And that makes it really fun to show up as well. To get creative maybe with how you're explaining something, and like what type of metaphor you use in there, or how, like even this, explaining being a content creator and a business owner as being the artist. It's just so nice to talk about it in this way. It really excites me to share this belief shift with you. Also, no scripts to follow, only inspiration. Do not copy what I'm sharing word by word. Take it as inspiration, make it your own, find your own voice, and also release the pressure. You're just playing. You're really having fun here, and you get to show up and talk about the things that you really love. Leadership energy, you go first. Even when you feel like your audience is not engaged, keep showing up. You go first. And there are different flavors to engage your audience again, to play more with the engaged type of post, but also you go first. If you keep consistently showing up for the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, post 3 times a week, and it's going to get easier, you will build this amazing audience that is so inspired by you, but not just inspired, also ready to take action, ready to move forward, ready to become your client. So let's dive into the session of today, High-Vibe Content Mastery, launch sequences and events. What we will cover, I already shared this in the beginning. Create momentum in your audience by using a launch sequence, boost your launch results, and launch events. And then a short Q&A call, because nobody is live with me today. Reminders, be present, be really here. So remove all the noise outside, or even ask your partner to not walk into the room. Look for the golden nuggets. Some things are not going to be new, and you already doing these, amazing. And some of them are going to exactly be the thing that you needed to hear to actually get the results you desire, to scale beyond what you've been doing so far. So be on the outlook for those golden nuggets. Also, share your aha moments in the comments. You're probably watching the replay right now, so drop it in the Facebook group in the comments. But also, if you're watching the self-study course, if you're going through it by yourself, you're implementing, and you have these moments, reach out to me. Save your questions for the end, or use the question box after. And then, of course, I will handle it next week. Do the homework. Really, it's not busy work. It's intentional. I can already see the people showing up in the Facebook group having really big breakthroughs. And also when you're watching the or when you're going through the self-study course, not just watching it, of course, really doing it, then do the homework. That is where the real shifts happen. If you're just listening to me talk, that's not going to be the thing. And from the people who have been showing up in the Facebook group, I've heard already that it's going really well, that people are reaching out to them. Their audience is actually sending them messages, which didn't happen before. And they feel this shift. Probably when you've been implementing so far until this session, you will feel that shift too. You will see that it's already easier to speak to your dream client. It already feels so much lighter to create your content, to get in that high vibe, and you start to see like the bigger picture. I want to talk also about the consistent sales versus launches. I personally really love having consistent sales over launches and to sprinkle these launches on top of your consistent sales. And most likely, even with consistent sales right now, because what I mean by consistent sales is consistently showing up in your content, having that call to action, showing that you have an offer, mentioning that your offer is available so people actually know they can buy from you right now. And most likely, you are not selling enough. People do not know about your offers and you're holding back valuable information for them. You're probably thinking, oh, everybody knows already. I'm talking about it there and there. But no, if you're probably right now, you're talking more about it than you've ever before because you're using the call to action. But even the call to action is hidden at the bottom of your post. So it's really important to have this flavor of the top where you're building this relationship, gaining the trust, making them feel seen, safe, and heard, and that you also actually make the offer, make it visible. Premium buyers are actively looking to invest. And you probably know this from how you move. If you are not selling, if you as a coach are not selling, they will go somewhere else because they need this desire now. They are ready to buy now. And time is really valuable, right? Time urgency. So premium buyers, if they have this desire, they've been activated, especially if you activate them with your content, you want to bring that home. Because if you're just activating and then somebody else actually gives them the offer that matches their activation that you created, then you're just doing the work for somebody else. While this person might actually be activated by you. So they want to work with you. And that's why it's so important to show your offer, show what you stand for, and make sure that they know that they can buy from you. That's why I always want to have something to sell and not just during launches. That's what I help my clients with in the Magnetic Mastermind as well, to have offers that you can sell. And even when you're not selling, how you can actually, or when you don't have an offer available, how you can sell. That's not what we're going to talk about today, because today is really about launches. It's also not included in this container because here we really focus on content. And there's so much more than just the content. You can have front sales in your business, which is the visible sales, the public sales, which is what we're talking about in this content course to sell more. But there are also different ways to sell, and that is back-end sales. That is creating funnels, having the right product suite, knowing how to get people from one offer into the other, and really having this flow for back-end sales. And that is out of scope for this program. It's definitely something that I cover in the Magnetic Mastermind, which is really, really cool because it means you can sell even more than what you're showing in your content. You can sell even more without actually actively showing up on the front end. Also, train your audience to see you as a premium seller by showing up consistently. Remember all these qualities of being in your premium identity? Consistency is so key in this. When you're creating content in a consistent way, you will feel that shift happening. You will be committed to this, but also your audience will see this. Your audience will grow with you, and it becomes easier and easier because your audience really warms up over time. So you will always have warm and hot leads in your audience, not just when you're launching. Be really confident and solid in how you show up. That leadership energy, the consistency, the premium identity, really tap into that, because that's what makes you really stand out. The energetics behind the strategy, the energetics combined with the strategy. And how I see launches is really as this extra thing to just sprinkle on top of what you've been doing. There's no pressure. And I also want to just really talk about this. It's really important because I started my first online coaching business, Yoga Marketing Coach, where I was helping yoga teachers with authentic marketing. I started it when I was in my burnout. Probably not the best choice at the time, but it's how it went. I learned a lot from it. And what I also learned was I started with launching my new offer, because that's what people talk about, right? How to launch a new offer. And then you enter the space of launches. And of course, I've done many launches. They're really awesome. They're really good also for new offers. But you also want these consistent flow of sales in your business, this lead generation plan that you really can use so you feel safe. You know what to do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis for your business to keep going, and the bare minimum that you should be doing to actually have consistent results. Because it's not like a lot of work to have consistent sales. It just needs this strategy and this system. So when I started with my first coaching business, I launched it with launching. So that's what I knew. I knew how to launch an offer. But when you don't know strategically what type of offers to create so they weave in together so that they can exist after your launch, or when you don't know how to sell besides launches, you need to always be in launching mode. And that's what we're going to talk about today as well. I only knew this way. and I was in a burnout, which means my cortisol, my hormones were just all over the place. I was activated, energized, and not in a true energy type of way, but really like false energy. And then having this stress of launching and having this short amount of time where everything needs to happen, like the preparation phase, but also actually the selling phase. And then people, will they buy or will they not buy? I had a really warm audience when I did my first launch, which meant my launch went amazing. I sold out within an hour. I also had limited spots because I limited myself because of the burnout and low energy and doing it for the first time. But I sold out within an hour. However, the first 3 weeks before that, where I was preparing for the launch, creating the launch event, setting everything up, was so stressful. It was so stressful, and I do not recommend it to anyone. I really recommend to have this consistent sales income, or to have a job that supports you and then play around with launches. But then also, when you want to have your business full time, you need consistent sales. You need to be consistently selling for all the reasons I already mentioned, but also for your own mental health. That is something that I help my clients with inside Magnetic Mastermind. It is really the place where we take the time to do this. The 12-month option in the Magnetic Mastermind, the 12-month container, is really where we anchor this in, where you shift so much in being this premium identity that holds consistent sales, that knows I am consistently showing up. This is what I need to be doing. This is how I'm going to make it work for me. Maybe you hire a VA, all these things I help you with for consistent sales, but also with launches. I just sprinkle that on top, or we just sprinkle it on top when you feel like it. And that is really the way that I found works best for me and for my clients as well. And yeah, the Magnetic Mastermind, I already shared it, and I'm also going to send an email about this for those who are behind, so you also get information on it before the deadline. If you're in High Vibe Content Mastery right now, before the end of the session, before the end of the 6 weeks, so you have 6 weeks from the moment you started. That's for everybody who's in this launch right now, but also for those who are in the self-study course. You have 6 weeks to upgrade to the Magnetic Mastermind and receive a discount of 500 euros. You do still need to go to the normal procedure or the normal flow where you have to apply. I have to accept you. I'm always very mindful of who I'm letting into Magnetic, to really be mindful of the space and the energy, because I am responsible for creating that safe space in the mastermind. So not everybody gets accepted. And I also really want you to be in the right place. But knowing that you're in the High Vibe Content Mastery course right now means that you're probably in the right place, because you're already doing this, which gives you a huge head start of really being in the Magnetic Mastermind. So if you want more, but also if you feel like, hey, maybe I've been learning all these things. I've been in courses. I've worked with business coaches. I know these things, and I'm loving these concepts from the High Vibe Content Mastery. I'm implementing them like crazy. What I really need is that one-on-one support, is that somebody actually watching and seeing what I'm doing and tweaking the last parts of it, because I know that I'm implementing it in the right way, but I also know that there are some blind spots that I'm not seeing myself, that a coach would just pick out there instantly. And if that is you, if you feel like you need more of refinement and really bringing home what you've been creating so far, and having this solid system that is this big overview of what you're doing in your business, but also knowing how a product suite works together, how different offers can be created, and to really get playful with that, then probably the Magnetic Mastermind is a really, really good place for you to hang out. And if you're wanting to use this discount, this bonus for you to move from the High Vibe Content Mastery towards the Magnetic Mastermind within this 6 week time frame, we need to start talking right now, because this is week 4. You need to apply, you need to think about this, and some of you will be ready within a day to make this decision, because you just know it just makes sense. And others really need to have a bigger conversation with me to figure out whether it's the 12 or the 4 month, and maybe just talk about some details. But this is a conversation that we should be starting now. So send me a message saying Magnetic, and I will send you to the application form. You can also go directly to pleasureandselling.com/magnetic and apply. That's something I just really wanted to say for you to not miss that opportunity. So let's dive into the first real topic of this launch session. Create momentum in your audience by using a launch sequence. And I want to highlight that this is just an overview, because this is the content course. We're focused on content. So I'm going to share about launching in the way that I know that has everything to do with content. And this is the overview, because there are more details in launching. There are more things that I go over in Magnetic Mastermind with my clients, to have like conversations in the DMs, to do the follow-ups, all these different things. But this is just the content, and the content can help you create an amazing launch. And seeing this will help you so much. But I do want to give you this disclaimer. Within this time frame for this session, I'm only able to give you an overview. And of course, you can go play with it, make it work for you. And it will probably show you, if you've been doing launches, what has been missing. But of course, there's more than I can just show you now in 1 hour. Mindset and energetics. This is one of the most important things in a launch, really. Of course, the strategy is important, but again, it's like 40% strategy. You need it as the foundation, but then 60% mindset and energetics. How you show up is so important. And I want to kick it off with a business mindset that is needed for making launches effortless, like having an effortless launch. And that is, if you are in business and you feel like this is it, I love my business, I am committed to making this work, this is it, this is the only thing that I can actually see myself doing. There's nothing else. There's no job that I have as a plan B. There's no alternative education that I would like to do. This is it. This is it. This is what I'm passionate about. And if you have this level of commitment, you will get results really fast. It's kind of a contradiction, because if you're kind of forcing it and you want this to work, but your heart is not actually in it, it will take so much longer. But if you're here with this level of commitment, the long-term commitment of this is it, this is for a lifetime, or at least for the next 3 years, where it feels like a lifetime, you will go so much faster. One launch really does not become a big deal anymore, because it's not about, okay, this launch needs to prove that I'm in the right business, that I'm in the right niche, that this is actually going to work for me. No, you are committed to this level that you know you are going to make it work. You are going to make it work no matter what, because this is it. This is the dream. This is your desire. You feel in your intuition, in your gut, this is your direction. So what happens then to that one launch? It's no big deal anymore. It's just the launch that is happening. And it's just feedback. It's just learning and growing and playing and experimenting and failing forward. And I also still do this. Sometimes I do a launch and it doesn't go as well. I don't get my target. I don't get all the people in that I thought would be in. And then I know, okay, hey, something was missing here, something in the messaging and how I was showing up. So I go and tweak and play and I grow. And this is also what my magnetics really see me share on the back end, because there I share about my processes. Like, how have I been doing the High Vibe Content Mastery launch? How did it go for me? What are the learnings? I share that always, because I'm really embodied in my work. And that is also what makes it fun, because you get to play around. And if you're not attached to a specific outcome, you can really enjoy the growth and every result, and really cheer for everybody who decides to join. Also, if you are not being mindful about your offer, then this doesn't go. But when you are really creating from this point that your business suite makes so much sense, and that whatever you're creating is going to live on forever, even after this launch, that also removes the pressure of people need to buy right now. Because if only 5 people buy right now, for instance, and you have this course that exists for a lifetime after this, and people continue to buy and buy and buy, then sure, you put a lot of effort in the launch and it didn't pay off immediately, but it will pay off later. So that releases the pressure of like, it needs to happen now to prove that this is worth. Because when you have 5 people joining, that is 5 yeses. That is 5 times a confirmation. Hey, this person decided that they needed this based on what you shared with them. And you're going to get better at this, at selling the same offer, because you're going to see how they are going to go through it. You're going to understand, okay, this message didn't work, and here can I tweak a little bit. And that's how you go through the ways of building your business in the most fun way ever. I already talked a bit about the monthly versus long-term focus, but I want to highlight this, and I want to go a little bit deeper here, because this is a concept where I'm even still wrapping my head around, but it just makes so much sense. Or at least it starts to make so much sense to me, because what we are doing most of the time is we are focused on the month. What is our monthly income? How can I make sure I have my monthly expenses covered, right? When you're in business and you're focusing on monthly versus long-term, what happens is that you activate your scarcity mindset. Yes, I said that. So this is what happens. Monthly focuses on the gap. instead of the vision. You're always like, I need to be there, but I'm not there yet. I need to have 10, but I have 7. Like that lack, that like, ooh, I didn't make my target. And of course, some months you're gonna just exceed that target. But every month you start at 0 again. Every month you're like, okay, this month I was 10. So on day 1, you have 0. There's always this gap. There's always this lack. So you're always thinking, I don't have enough yet, or I'm not at my goal yet. Instead, what I would like to invite you to, what I'm playing with as well, is what is your next big milestone? So instead of saying, I want to make 10K this month, I want to make 10K and I'm going to make it happen. And then you know the path. And the only thing you need to do is shorten that timeline. And then you focus on plus, 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 because you're always getting closer to your milestone. You're always like, ooh, I made 3,000 this month. Ooh, I made 4,000 this month. I'm almost there. The milestone is almost there. You feel the different shift. It's really about that abundance mindset and really seeing the bigger goal and the long-term focus, because you're going to lose so much energy when you're in this scarcity mindset. You're going to vibrate on a lower level. You're going to be less magnetic. So by focusing on this big milestone, you actually become more attractive, more magnetic, more high vibe. And with the long-term vision, you actually collapse time by releasing that pressured timeline from like, it needs to happen now. And if this launch fails, I will get a side job or I will stop. Or no, if you are in there for the long run, how would you show up? If you know your business is not profitable enough right now and you want to do this for the long term, how can you release that pressure? And maybe it does mean that you need to get a side job for now to support yourself. And in the meanwhile, learning these skills, learning these things like you're doing right now in the High Vibe Content Mastery, to really know that you are supported, you have the resources to make this work in the long run. Because you're in it for the long run, right? And if not, that's also fine. If you're not in it for the long run, and you have that other mindset that I spoke about where you don't feel that level of commitment towards your business, that is also fine. But then maybe you should do something else. And that's totally okay as well. Maybe you thrive more in life when you're just having a normal job, or when you actually find the thing that you're super passionate about. Okay, pre-work before the launch. Before you're launching, you want to create the offer, because you're launching because of the offer. And how I create the offer is, first of all, checking in with myself. What do I want to sell? What excites me? What do I want to create that I can talk about at least for a month without getting bored? Where can I find that spark within me? And of course, I'm also matching that to the market. And I'm also thinking of, what did my clients tell me? What do I see? Where is the extra need? What have the audience been telling me? And then you do a market research. You always want to match your idea to the market. And it can be a bigger market research, it can be a smaller one. We talked about this, I think in one of the sessions, but it could also be the Q&A call that I hosted. So I'm not really sure. I'm going to go over this again. One of the most important things in business is understanding what the market needs. Market, it's really about the market. And you can channel something, you can get excited about your offer, and you can be like, oh, I want to create this and this and this. But you are an expert. So the way you communicate with yourself, the language that you use is expert language. And your people, most of the time, are not experts. They don't even want to become an expert most of the time. Like an example, if you're a relationship coach, your clients are not aiming to become a relationship coach. They're aiming to heal their relationship. So if there are specific symptoms or like more scientific ways to explain like different boxes that people fit in or behavior that they have, that is your way of talking about things. But they have their own language. They have their own daily situations and what makes sense for them. And you want to tap really into their desire. So you want to do this market research where you're matching your offer idea to the desire, to the chocolate that your audience is telling you in their words. So you want to use their words. So it resonates with them and they understand what you're talking about. And the market research is also a phase where you're already engaging and co-creating with the market. People love it when you co-create and when they feel like part of something. So when they've helped you with market research about this offer that you're creating, then actually it feels like, oh, wow, this is made for and with me. You definitely want to make sure that your offer fits the product suite. And I keep mentioning this, but it's so important. The first step in your business is getting really clear on your messaging and your niche and all those things, the foundations that will also help you with creating content in a more effortless way. If you are in this program and you haven't got clarity on your niche yet, there's the premium niche workshop. You can, it's available right now. It's 111 euros. Some of you already took it with me, already have it. But if you are not clear on your niche right now and you're implementing high vibe content and you're kind of like, okay, challenged by who you're speaking to, then I highly recommend to get that workshop to get that level of clarity. But when you are, when you have a certain level of messaging and you're clear who you're talking to, or at least to that certain level, then it becomes really important to create that product suite that actually matches your audience, that takes them on this journey and that fits really nice together, so that these offers are not contradicting each other and actually competing with each other, but that they help your clients on this whole path, on this whole journey, and that all the offers make sense together. This is something that I can help you with inside Magnetic Masterminds, where we work on your offer suite together, and where I also teach you how you can create offers in a really nice way connected to the desire of the market. This is also something in the Premium Breakthrough course. Some of you here are in the High Vibe Content Mastery and are not ready for the Magnetic Mastermind yet, because you're starting to realize, oh, I don't have that niche figured out. I don't have my offer very clear. And some of you have been selling, then the Magnetic Mastermind makes a lot of sense. But if you're really new, then the Premium Breakthrough course is the best place for you to find additional support next to content, because that's where I help you through doing a really profound market research, creating offers. You can create your one-on-one offer, your group offer, however you want to use that methodology to do that framework. And yeah, so the Premium Breakthrough course would be a really good place for you to start then. The first phase of launches, awareness and excitement. You really want to get people on the front of their chair here. You want to have them like, oh, okay, what's going to happen? And the first connection point with them could be the market research, where you're actually sharing that you're going to create something, that you need some input, and that already creates the awareness and the excitement as well. It's also the place where you collect your first lead. So you could post something like a hand raise post where you're saying, drop this word in the comments if you want this, if you want me to create this offer, if you want me to do this launch event, or like to really get clarity on, is there a need in my audience for what I'm creating? We'll talk more about this in how you can do the launch events, but also for the offer in general, create some awareness. It can be engagement, awareness and excitement. It can also just be you sharing about, ooh, something really exciting is happening, and making content that's relevant for this offer before you're actually talking about this offer. So creating some belief shifts that are important, and really like start talking about this topic for 2 weeks before you drop in the actual offer. And if it's something that you're already talking about a lot, then of course you need less time to warm up the audience, but you really want to create that awareness and excitement already. And this is also where you could think about opening a wait list. And that there's no really a timeline for that. You can always have a wait list open, but it's really about creating this anticipation and having people raise their hands and say like, hey, I'm interested in this. And a really good example here is when the new season of Game of Thrones came out, I think a year ago already. Everybody was talking about it weeks before. That is the buzz that you want to create, right? That's like, okay, what's happening and when are you going to watch and what do you think will happen? And that's the excitement that you want to create. And it's very simple to create this by just sharing your own excitement and awareness around these things. The second step in the launch sequence is introduce the offer. And this is where le top, I highlighted the B, because it's really about logical information about the offer, really having clarity on what the offer actually is. People are not talking enough about their offer and what is happening. And when you're introducing an offer, people need to know this. So talk about the phases of the transformation, the end result, some practical information, and the desire that it serves. Always come back to that desire and activate them and make them understand why the offer makes sense. Here's also where you want to give them a path to buy. So you want to have that sales call or a payment link. So you really want to have a clear path. And for most in the premium space, it will be a sales call to have them on the sales call. So you want to direct them towards the sales call. If you're selling something else, because this launch sequence works for all types of different offers, you want to send a payment link. And yeah, these things like, do I do a sales call or a payment link, or what works when. That is what I'm talking about in the Magnetic Mastermind also, and where I guide you through that process. Then the belief and behavior shifting. This is really the last part of the top. And of course, you also want to tune in the love factor and engagement, but this is really where you want to be building trust and activate and invite them into your offer. So this is really where you're getting people ready to buy from you faster. This is this accelerated path within the launch sequence where you're explaining why now, why right now, but also these are the beliefs and the behavior shifts that you need to get on board with. In this phase, it's a really good time to get on video, to do live streams. And it's really, really simple to do that just on Instagram, on Facebook, and just take a written post that you've already created, go live, talk about it, have a really nice headline for it, elaborate a bit more on the post and why you wrote it and maybe what people reply to it or behind the scenes of what is happening with your clients. Because when you get on video, you really give them a feel of your energy. You are really exposing yourself to show this is my energy, this is how I vibrate, this is my frequency. And if you like that, if you're a match for that, you probably like also being in my space and learning from me in my offers. So it's also really giving them a taste of what it is like to have that contact with you, because in your offers they're gonna either watch your videos or have live moments with you. So if you're just using written posts, there's a big gap between them understanding, hey, I can actually learn so much from and with this person when I'm in their offer versus reading just a post. And of course, you want to get them ready with this framework of talking to the raw client again, right? Reasons to buy. This is the fourth phase in the launch sequence, and it has a little bit of overlap, of course, with the belief shifts and the behavior shifts, because you're already talking about why is this for you and the desire, and it all starts with the internal motivation. For high vibe content, the most important reason to buy for people is internal motivation, which also gets you the most amazing clients because they have that internal drive, they have that willingness, and they are ready and they really want what you're offering. So internal motivation always leads. And you want to speak to the thing that people really, really want. So why would they wait to buy the thing that they really desire? That doesn't make sense, right? If you really crave something, if you're like, for me, if I'm starting to work with a coach now in January, actually starting, and she offered me to do a call, like a 15-minute call, because it's a huge investment, 5 figures. And I felt safe with that. So I wanted to do the 15-minute call. It's just like, so 1-5, so not a long call, like a short call. And I scheduled it for in 2 weeks later. And in those 2 weeks, everything started to shift. And I already felt like, wow, me committing to reaching out to her and having that conversation. And that already shifted so much in me to actually see myself as somebody that is in her space, that is in her mastermind, to kind of taste it and feel it. And that's also what I want for you. And that's also when you feel that drive, hey, Magnetic Mastermind is for me, whether it's right now, for some of you, it will be right now. For others, it will be in 2 or 3 months. Let me know. Speak it out. Give the words to it. Speak it to the universe as well. And make that commitment to like, hey, yeah, I'm going to invest on this level on myself. And whether that's in my Magnetic Mastermind or in general, voice it and start to see and feel that that is your path and that that's the direction that you're going. And you're just finding out who's the best match for you, who has the best offer. So what I experienced in that waiting phase area, felt like an area, and the era, I started to give myself the answer. I started to really embody and feel like, ooh, what would it be to be in her space? And 5 days before, and of course I was also still seeing her content and was getting me more ready, and I also felt like, yes, I am this identity, this premium identity that makes this decision and that doesn't need her to be on this call with me, because I already know, I already feel it, right? So of course I slept over it a few nights because it's a big investment. Of course there was a whole process. I went through her laptop sequence of posts. I don't know if she actually uses laptop, but all the things I see are also in there. And I just sent her a message saying like, hey, I feel like I'm ready. I feel like I don't need the call. I know it's in 4 days, but I know my answer already. So I'm just bullshitting myself. And that's also premium identity next level shit. Where are you bullshitting yourself? I'm very thorough on this for myself. I didn't need the call. I knew it. I felt it. I had this internal motivation and I was just ready. So I sent her a message like, hey, I'm ready. Fuck it. I don't need the call. And that is also so empowering to to have that experience for yourself, but also to provide that experience for your clients, for them to have this internal boost of like, yes, let's go. I know you know what I'm talking about. I know you felt this too, because you are the same as me. You are showing up for yourself and for your business, and you feel this internal drive, right? So if this is not happening in your audience, if you're not seeing this, if people are not having this internal motivation of showing up for themselves, go back to market research to find out the language and the desire of your audience, because you're not activating their internal motivation. Internal motivation is activated by speaking to the chocolate, by speaking to the desire. So if you do not have people reaching out to you right now, that is the missing link. Go to the market research, tap into the desire, speak more to the desire, because maybe you're aware, but you're not speaking to it. Then external motivation, because when you have the basis covered, when you have this foundation of internal motivation, there are a lot of nice ways to give people a reason to buy. We all love a reason to buy. Right now it's Black Friday. Of course, I'm going to buy some things. It's a good reason. But also when you're shopping, when you're going shopping for clothes, or when you're just going buy furniture for the house, people love to buy. People love to find things that they really, really love. But also they love a reason to buy. So that could look like people making people making a decision faster because of a little trigger. And it doesn't mean pushing them or bullying them into making this decision, which is a lot of bro marketing, where you're just sharing early bird prices, discounted prices, FOMO tactics. No, we lead with the desire. So first we activate the internal motivation, and some are instantly ready. Others might need this little nudge of like, hey, it's okay. You can buy already. You can make your decision. It's safe. And sometimes giving them this opportunity of like, hey, this is the early bird price will actually make them realize that they're not ready to buy it. And sometimes it makes them realize they are ready and they've been ready for a very long time. So you can do something like an early bird. Don't make the window too long. Don't have like a 2-week early bird. The whole launch shouldn't be dragged out. Make it a really short and sweet time window, because it's there to help people make a decision fast. It's 24 to 72 hours. You can play with that, of course. It's just a little bit of a guideline. But if you do it for like 2 weeks, people are not going to be primed to make a decision anytime sooner. And just for your own sake, we'll talk a bit about what happens in a launch as well. But for your own sake, don't make it too long. So you can also play with the first X amount of people who join receive this, the discount or a bonus. And also don't focus too much with your bonus on one-on-one time, because that's, of course, limited. And there are way more efficient ways to actually do that. Like in this, I have a content mastery. The first 3 people to join got a content review. We will be doing that in the last session. So those people get really a hot seat where I'm diving into their content, their messaging, and you guys get to watch it. And it's super, super valuable for everybody, but it's also a nice incentive and a nice bonus for those who joined, who were the first to join. And you can also use existing resources. It says review in the slides, but it's resources. So resources like having a masterclass that fits really nice. And it of course, it needs to be a match for the offer that you're selling, but you can see when it is and when it isn't. Maybe hosting an extra group call for the first people to join, or like there are a lot of ways you can play with this. And also reasons to buy, you really want to over communicate this. Like you want to share with everybody how amazing your offer is and why they should join, but also why they should join right now. Don't leave that out, because then people won't make a decision. Really be clear, like this is the best time right now. And right now, again, can be speaking to their internal motivation, to really speak to their character and who you see for them that they are and how they want to show up in life and how they are showing up, but also these external motivations. When is it really, when it's really your offer that is so good and you love your offer, and when you don't have this feeling about your offer, there's probably some tweaks that we need to be making. Again, the Premium Breakthrough course is perfect for that if you want to do it on your own, and the Magnetic Mastermind is where I can help you really fall in love with your offer and shamelessly sell it everywhere because you love it so much. When it's really that juicy, and when you know everybody in your audience that is a match for that offer should know about this because it's going to change their freaking lives. Don't just send one email. Let everybody know. Really let them know, and let them know very often. And especially when you're doing a launch sequence, let them know every day. Everybody should know this. Everybody should talk about you in this time, or think about you or see you. Like when you're in a launch sequence, be so freaking loud that people cannot not know about this. Because still, even when you feel like you've been over communicating, people just don't know about your offer. I always have a list of hot leads and people that I think would be a perfect fit for the offers that I'm creating. And what I do besides creating the content is I also reach out to them. And actually, one of them is in this course right now. It's Cynthia. And Cynthia, she didn't know about my launch. And I was like, okay, she didn't sign up. Maybe she didn't see. So I'm going to send her a message because I know from what I've been seeing from her, she needs to be in this course. And I'm going to tell her because I'm willing to fight for those hot leads. And this goes beyond content. These are things that I'm more in detail sharing in the Magnetic Mastermind. But indeed, Cynthia was like, wow, yes, this offer sounds amazing. Let me check it out. Let me feel into it. It feels like what I need. Then she was in this decision-making mode. And then she actually decided also in the same week, I think it was the same week, to also join the Magnetic Mastermind. And that was just for me actually taking a stand and saying, hey, I think this is the offer for you. And now she is a completely different person already, just by really stepping into that leadership energy and what is going to be available for her after being in the Magnetic Mastermind and having all these shifts and creating these offers in a more profound way, where she's already seeing, wow, I thought I had this offer, but actually now I'm going through all these things in the Magnetic Mastermind and I see how I can fine tune it and how I can create different offers and this whole product suite and how I speak to my clients completely shifted, and them reaching out to me. Like all these shifts are happening right now because I invited her. What you want in this launch sequence is you want to take your people, you want to take your audience, you want to take the right people on this yes journey. You want to invite your audience to hop on that yes train. So the launch sequence is 4 phases. It's awareness and excitement, which you can also see as the foreplay, where you're really warming up your audience. Then you're introducing the offer. Then you're doing more belief and behavior shifting, which you might have also been doing in the awareness and excitement phase and already like getting people warm about the topic. Then you're giving reasons to buy. Why should they join right now? So you're inviting them constantly to hop on that yes train. Of course, you always want to be mindful that you're speaking to the raw hero clients, the ready, the able, the willing, those who are willing to pay high prices, who are in hero mode, who are in a higher frequency, or who want to be in a higher frequency and can see themselves already there. It's also the person that's already walking up the hill, that's already doing the work, that has been shifting their beliefs to become ready to actually implement, to show up, to do the work. So you always want to make sure that you're speaking to these raw clients who are ready for change. What do you need to improve for your next launch? This is a question for you. Like which one of the 4 phases do you feel that you can improve? The first thing that already came to mind is probably the answer. So I'm going to show it one more time. Awareness and excitement, introduce your offer, believe in behavior shifting, reasons to buy. And again, there's no science in this. There's not like you need to do this here and you need to do that. There's just like, okay, these are flavors that you can use in your launch. And probably if you've been launching before, by seeing this, you're already like, ooh, I have not been doing any like this. So maybe I tune it up there. And how can I tweak this for the next time? And probably just tuning up a few flavors that I'm showing you here are going to make the difference, are going to actually make things click in your launch. So normal flow of launches. What happens in a normal launch is that when you introduce your offer, you have a big peak in sales. You have instant sales of people buying. Then there's a dip. So maybe you have an open cart for 2 weeks. The first 1 or 2 days, you have an early bird, or just not even without the early bird, it could look like this. Offer introduction, people buy, then there's this void. That's also why I don't like my launches to be like more than 2 weeks. And most of the time I do like 10 days, because the void will happen anyway, most of the time. I'm going to talk more about that. But the void is almost unavoidable. I am going to give you some tips though. And then at the end, by the close cards, the promotion close or whatever is the deadline, people buy again. So also feel like, did you experience this? I know when I was doing this recording yesterday, people actually said, yes, this is what I've been experiencing. But also a cold launch. If you are introducing your offer to a cold audience, it might look more like this. So maybe that is what happened for you. To have no sales in the beginning when you're introducing your offer, and then to have a void, and then to have maybe one or two sales because you're just really shouting and sharing and like being like, boy, you're really like, yes, this is it. This is the offer. I'm so excited. Let's go, let's go, let's go. And then some people actually hop on the yes train at the end. What also happens is, yeah, let me ask this question. Who here has launched an offer before and gave up before the finish line? Because I know this has happened for me. It has happened for my clients. It has happened for almost everyone. Where you're like, okay, I'm introducing it. There's no sounds. Nothing is happening. There's this big void. Maybe I should just slowly remove myself from this situation and just kind of act like nothing happened, because then I don't really lose face, right? Well, first of all, that's not really true because you don't lose face anyway. People are cheering for you. People are cheering for you to build a big business, always. But also, when you did this, probably you might have lost some of the sales that would happen at the end of the deadline. So that's why it's really, really important to always go with the whole finish line, to hold yourself and to hold the void and to hold space for it and to keep showing up, to show that consistency, because those people who are going to make the last minute decision are those people who need that more. So instant sales happen. And if you don't have these, I will show you why you don't have these. They happen with good messaging, showing up consistently, modeling your results, really embodying what you do. But also, these are the hot early buyers. These are the people who were in your audience already, who have been seeing your consistent content, who have been going through the top phases. And they just didn't have the right moment yet to buy from you, but they've been thinking already about it. And then you present your offer, boom, really good marketing, messaging is strong, is on point. Some of you in this course experienced exactly that. You've been in my world for a few months, a year, however long you've been with me and just consuming my free content. And then boom, you saw this, you saw the High Vibe Content Mastery. You were like, wow, this speaks to my soul. This is what I need in my business right now. This messaging speaks so much to me. That sale, those sales, the instant sales, were made long before you actually asked for the sale. They already decided you are a premium seller. They see you as a premium seller that they can buy from. They just needed the right timing and the right offer to present to them. So for some of you, that definitely was the case. And yeah, you just needed that extra activation. And launches really become that easy when you have consistent content, because you have that instant sales boost when you're doing the launch. You get that momentum, you get that high vibe. And that's really only created when you have consistent content creation before the launch. Because if you do the cold launch, it's going to look like this. Like your offer introduction is not going to make anything hit home. The void. The almost unavoidable void. A launch void. It's for the people who are not sure. It's for the people who need an extra nudge, who might have just landed into your world, so they need a bit more time, or those who are not really ready yet, who are still on that path, are still walking their path towards belief shifting, behavior change. And it does not mean that they cannot become a client right now, because some people shift rapidly. And by doing this and by being in the void and staying present with them and showing them that phase of belief shifting and behavior shifting, you can create quantum leaps for them. They can become ready so much faster. Within one day, within one launch event, with one post that you wrote exactly to the point where they're stuck or where they're challenged, you can make them get ready faster to live their desired outcome. Of course, you cannot force them to do something that they don't actually desire, but you can move them forward towards that. So these are the people that are still priming themselves to become ready, where you actually need to guide them closer to that yes. And here it is really important that you stay in your high vibe magnetic energy to hold that space in the void. And I think most of you probably know what a space holder is. Somebody in the room just holding space, like with spiritual events, that a lot of space holders are with, yeah, there are, I don't know if I explained this right, but I think most of you know what I mean when I say space holder. Be that space holder. Be that space holder for your launch, for your audience, kind of like see it as these separate things, not being completely in and absorbed in the launch and kind of like getting crazy and having all these mind fucks because you're in the void and thinking, is this the right offer? It's normal. It's really, really normal to have this void happening. And what you can do in this void is to stay consistent and stay committed, to not be attached to the outcome, the micro results, the micro thinking, but really be in that leadership energy, the macro activation, the bigger picture. So what does somebody need to hear to become ready for a yes? Ask yourself that question and think also of the lit up and think of what are the beliefs that they're carrying right now, what are the objections that you're hearing right now, and speak to that. That's how you can deal with the void. Use the lit up, mostly tap, so build more trust, activate and invite them in. Make them feel so welcome, so seen, so heard, so that they can trust you. Also, when you have 8 people in instead of 10, and you're really focused on your goal of getting 10 clients in, you lower your vibration because you're again in that scarcity mindset. You're in the lack, you're in the gap. And of course, it's still good because the gap makes you move, seeing where you're at and what is still missing. It can make you move, but check in with yourself when you're slipping into that scarcity mindset and celebrate everybody who said yes, because everybody in there, all 8 who are already in there, or even if it's just one person, it is proof. It is proof that this works, that this is the offer somebody desires. And if that person desires it, there are so many more. It's just about reaching them and really speaking to call them in. So improving your messaging and improving how you're showing up. And the more consistent your content will be all year around, the easier it gets every launch because your audience grows, your audience gets warmed up. And then when you're dropping in a launch sequence, people will want to buy. This is really important. During the void, don't abort mission. Don't make huge changes. It's okay to tweak during a launch, but don't tear things down. Don't remove a whole sales page or remove a bonus or change the whole messaging aspect because one person told you something slightly different. You can make tweaks. You can make additions. You can add things on, but stand in your ground. Stay in your, I don't know if that's a good saying. Really have this internal anchor, really focus on this is why I'm showing up. This is like believe in yourself because you thought about this. You followed the steps. You created this offer from your excitement. You're showing up because you're excited about this offer and you did the market research. So you know who you're calling in. And of course, if you don't get any results, that is big feedback that something is wrong and you have to go back to the market research. But don't tear things down just from insecurity. Only make tweaks based on knowing and actual feedback and feedback from ideal clients, not from clients who are not ready. How can we deal with the voids? I already shared most of it, but the mindset and energetics is so important here to be a space holder for yourself, for your launch, for your audience, to show up with the best mindset and energetics that can support you. Then belief and behavior shifts. Really focus on that type of post and building more trust and the lit up, activating, actually inviting them in. You can also do some urgency triggers, which is the reasons to buy, which is the internal motivation, but also the external motivation where you're playing with the early bird prices and when you're adding a bonus and removing a bonus. And that's actually what I did with the High Vibe Content Mastery. So my launch looked more like this. Almost every day somebody joined because there were reasons and there were moments and people were still going through the belief shifts and the behavior shifts and getting ready. And I was inviting them in. So be clear, be loud, and lead the way. So what do I mean by that? Be clear, be loud, and lead the way. It is really noisy and people are busy and you need to be really loud to show people that you have something that they need, that they desire. So let them know that there is a deadline, which means communicating 48 hours left, 24 hours left, 5 hours left. Send an email in all those times. Post something on social media all those times. Share like these deadlines in your stories and invite them in. Are you in? Like give them the permission to make that decision and to stop questioning and stop asking questions, but really decide whether that's a yes or a no. But there needs to be a decision because if you're not making a decision, it's also a decision. Continue with the results, sharing the story, overcoming objections, belief shifting, mentioning the deadlines. Just keep showing up like that. Send emails every day, especially during a launch sequence, completely like maybe if you haven't sent any emails ever before, then don't, because you want to be sending like 2 or 3 emails every week, or 1 if you want to start there. But the more people can see this, the more they can connect with you, the more they can get on board with what you're doing and actually get those transformations. During a launch sequence, it's totally allowed to send an email every day, especially when you're doing a launch event and people sign up for the launch event. So they really committed to this specific topic that you're talking about. But even your whole list, you can send emails every day or every other day. Don't pay attention to unsubscribers. they weren't going to buy anyway. This is not the time for them. If it is the time, at some point they will come back, but it's also releasing them to find the right coach for them. Really don't dim your light for them. You're not speaking to them. You're speaking to the client who is ready, able, and willing. You're not speaking to the person who is not yet. They might become at some point, but clearly right now is not the time for them. And that's okay. Those who love what you're about, your leadership, your energy, those people, the person who decided that you are for them, they will lean in and they will want to buy and they will want to move forward with you. And I kind of like thought of this example. I don't know if it's the best one, but I kind of want to get you into this, like catching momentum and starting to run, and others might not follow your pace, and that's totally fine. You're running, you're going ahead. You're not for everyone. You're for the person that is for you, and they will know it. You will know it. Your offer is not for everyone, and whoever is not able to catch up with you running, they might join next time, or they might find a better fit for them. But when you keep running and your people can keep the same pace and they're running with you and you're just going and going and going, there's so much momentum. That is just the best feeling ever. You know you're working with the right people, and that starts to happen. Don't hide your offer, or offers really, really sell. And I'm repeating this a lot in this launch sequence because it's not about doing this launch, but especially in a launch, you want to be visible everywhere. You always want to be selling. That's how you sell. Make sure your offer isn't behind your free content or even your launch events. You want to be talking about it during the launch. Everybody in your audience should know about it, not just those who signed up for a masterclass. We'll talk more about that in the second part. Also, start selling as soon as possible. So open waitlist spot, give people the opportunity to buy from you. You can even do a secret pre-sale to people who engaged in a market research. You can do an early bird price to get people in as soon as possible. Urgency triggers along the way, like we talked about. Only having a one-on-one offer is really something that limits you. So if you only have a one-on-one offer right now, I highly recommend to create different types of offers. You know where to find support for that, the Premium Breakthrough course or the Magnetic Mastermind. But there are a lot of different ways how you can sell. And especially with a launch, it's really nice to have a group program or to have maybe VIP offers that people can buy who want a more special treatment. Like I did also here with the High Vibe Content Mastery. I was selling coaching calls to have 2 coaching calls with me. And some of you took that, and the payment plans options, give them options. Downsells you can include. Like there's so much you can play with, and this goes more beyond the scope of content. But I just wanted to give you some examples because I like to over deliver, of course. But also I want you to really start simple, and you can add more flavors to your launch every time you're doing it again. The basics also really work when you have the right strategy behind it. So if you're just focusing on the leads up, if you're just focusing on creating these offers and maybe mentioning, hey, this offer is here, and maybe giving a time frame where they can buy it or giving an early bird price for it, just keeping the launch really, really simple, it also works. And then adding more flavors on the go, like adding an email list and subscribers and doing a launch event, although a launch event can be really nice to add instantly. And I'm going to talk about that obviously today. There are different launching styles, and there are 3 flavors I want to share with you. The first one is where you get to plan everything. Everything. So everything is prepared, your posts, your emails, your stories, your sales page, content delivery. Basically, during the launch, you can go on a holiday. We talked about this yesterday in the live, and Bianca was like, yes, this is me. This is what I desire. Then the second one is be in the energy of the launch. Be committed to specific daily actions. And what do I mean by that? What do I mean? Because it's not just about showing up in the moment and seeing what comes up. You do want to have strategy behind it. So you want to commit to specific daily actions, which could mean posting every day on your timeline, on all your social media accounts, and on your stories. Writing 1 post every day, 15 minutes, maybe doing 1 or 2 live streams per week in the 2 weeks that you're launching, to play with that and to make sure that you're showing up and that you're doing the things, and to really tap into the energy of the launch, to be super connected with your audience, to see what's alive, what objections are coming in, to speak to that, and to really have that strong connection in the moment. And I personally really like both. I like to combine both. I've been on both spectrums. For me, being in the first one actually makes me feel less connected to the audience. And because I'm launching, I'm actually really excited because I'm really excited about my offers. So then it's really easy to be in the moment, and it feels like holding back if I'm not also posting there. So instead of planning it out completely, I like to keep some open space in there to have like a minimum flow, a minimum amount of posts that I'm normally also consistently posting anyway. And then I add in some live flavors and I add in a live event. And that's really how I like it most, because you are prepared, you are carried, you know, if I don't do anything, I'm also going to make sales, but you're also present in the moment. You have that energy, that high vibe, that magnetic thing going on as well. When you're planning ahead, it makes launches go better and better every time. But also you can, of course, reflect. When you were in the more energy space, you can also reflect and use that for the next time that you're doing a launch. Really choose what works best for you and play an experiment. And if that means trying out to actually go on a holiday during a launch, I might play with that next year, actually, because the idea of that really excites me. But probably I would still have a hybrid form because I would still be excited to show up and to do the things. Or if you really want to just be in the moment and not plan anything and just have this schedule for yourself of when you're showing up. That's also something you can test and see how that lands if you've never tried it before. So how would you like to prepare for your launches? Ask yourself that question, and next time, just go and do that. And it's also okay if a launch fails. This is something really important to talk about because there is nothing wrong with you or your expertise if nobody buys from you. However, you do know that there is something wrong with your launch skills. And that's what we're fixing now. That's what we're tapping into now. And that's where you can get so much better every time. Basically, everything is feedback and you are in control of your results. And if you have that approach, it's really about, okay, I didn't have any sales coming in from this launch. What did I do that I can do different next time? Where did I go wrong? Was my messaging on point? Was my offer on point? All these things you can check. And it is actually that you are in control. It's not about, oh, this happened and nobody signed up and I don't know why and I am just going to continue and try again next. No, you know, it's about messaging, about market research, about connecting with the audience, inviting them in, having consistent content that also supports your launches, and also knowing if you're selling to a cold audience, then it's probably not going to go as well, right? You got to get the feedback. You got to see who shows up, who responds to your messaging, and how you like it, how you're calling in, what people are you calling in, how do you respond to that? And again, I'm committed to doing this for years. Be in that energy. Because if you're in that energy, it doesn't matter if one launch fails, because you know you're in it for the long run. What you can do when a launch failed is you can still use all the effort that you put in there, and you can repackage it. You can change the messaging. You can even increase the price, because sometimes that's even the thing. You're selling something, but it's undervalued. And first of all, it might not be a match for the market, but it might also make you drop your energy. Because if you're undervaluing, if you're underselling your expertise, then subconsciously you might actually be blocking out sales because you don't want your people to buy from you because you are not happy about the price point. These are things we're not fixing in the High Vibe Content Mastery, but of course in Magnetic Mastermind, and there are different places where I teach about pricing as well. You will grow so much faster if you adapt this play and experiment mindset. And I want to invite you to really stay in that high vibration, because what I saw, I was biking in Amsterdam, I remember, and I was looking at the skate park, and everybody, it was also in the year that I got my surf skates, and I'm playing with that, so I know a little bit that like, especially the first 2 weeks, it's so uncomfortable. You're falling, you're failing, then it gets a little bit better, but then you want to challenge yourself again, and you want to get better and better, and that comes with so much experimenting. And it's really up to you how you show up, because you can play and fail and feel shame around that and never go back on the skateboard again or never do that launch again. Or you can be committed and you can show up and you know that this is it. I'm going to make it work. It works for other people, so it will also work for you. It's just about figuring it out and not making up any excuses why it wouldn't work for you. And when you do that in a high vibration, it gets to be fun. Because the people with the skateboard, of course, sometimes they're frustrated, but they're also in this high vibration of playful energy. And I also put it in the second photo because it's not about failing on your own. It's about getting the support, right? If you are stuck, if you've been feeling stuck, if you've been stagnant or challenged, or you've been doing this now with the content, but you're realizing actually it's the offer or there's something else going on, go and get the support you need, because you're in it for the long run. So it's about figuring it out. And the longer it takes to figure it out, the more uncomfortable it is along the way. So get the support. And I want to give you this. I'm not going to go too deep into this today, but this is my favorite reel that I ever created so far. And it's because I'm talking about a really dear concept that I really embodied the last, I would say, 5 months. It really came up for me. It's about regrouping, recommitting, raising your vibe. And I want to tell you that you've got this, because you can click the link. I will share the slides, of course. You can watch the reel. And it's basically me talking about how you can recommit. Like when you're in a relationship, you also have to constantly recommit towards each other, right? You're constantly re-choosing to be together. And what happens sometimes when we commit to something more simple or more practical, like making your bed every day, we do it for maybe a few days, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 23 days. And then after day 23, you're like, fuck, I didn't do it today. And then you get in this cycle of, whoa, I didn't do it. I couldn't commit. I couldn't keep my commitment to myself. I failed in this. And then you kind of start to feel this shame around it, and getting back to it, the whole gap becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. And I want to give this recommitment concept to you, because you can recommit. And instead of focusing on, wow, okay, actually, I didn't do it today and I didn't do it yesterday and I'm losing my commitment to myself, focus on the 23 days that you actually did do it, and know that you can recommit whenever you want to, which gives you the power again to show up again. This reel is really, really strong, so I highly recommend watching it. And of course, if you don't follow me on Instagram yet, go hang out there with me. I'm making such cool content there as well. Boost your launch results with launch events. Okay, I hope this is all landing for you. Also check in with yourself. Is this landing? What is your biggest aha moment? Write it down for yourself from what we've talked about so far. And then we're going to talk about boost your launch results with launch events. What is a launch event, first of all? It can be a masterclass, a webinar, a workshop, maybe a challenge or a bootcamp, and that's multiple days. And the easiest, what I would recommend to start with for a launch event, is to do like a 60-minute masterclass. And the difference between a masterclass, a webinar, a workshop, it doesn't really matter. People use these words in different concepts, and how I define it for myself, I think that's the most important thing, to have clarity for yourself, is I like doing masterclasses. Masterclasses for me is about belief shifting. We're going to talk a bit about why it should be about belief shifting in a second. Webinar for me I feel like it has a big connection with just a pitch, just a sales pitch. And that's just personal. Some people think differently about it, but it's just how I feel about it. It's not really premium for me. It's more like, yeah, like the bro marketing techniques. Then the workshop, for me, a workshop is when you actually get a worksheet from me, where I give you like proper homework assignments and where you're shifting and we're implementing some things already. Then the challenge and the bootcamp are just multiple days, and that can be with the workshop setup, can be with the masterclass, doesn't really matter that much. So don't get hang up on the names. That's basically it. What is the event about? It is like the opening party. It's like the grand opening of a restaurant, where the restaurant has been in preparation mode. You've been seeing that they were building it, that they maybe were bringing the tables and the chairs inside. And then there's this day, the day that is the grand opening. So the owner of the restaurant is there, everybody's there, the staff is there, they have balloons, they have this big sign, people are invited, they might have a discount for showing up in the first round, they might have a special dish, or maybe they have live music, something really big is happening, right? It's like a party, like a proper party that sets them on the map. So when you're doing a launch and when you're launching a group program, this can be so juicy to have, and it's so exciting to host as well. It can be really, really fun. And it is not just about the people who show up at the grand opening. It's also about their friends who hear them talk about going there. It's also about the people who walk past it. And of course, in context of having an online masterclass, because you could even do this offline, right? In context of having an online masterclass, it's also about people who walk past, people who see you promote your challenge, but might not be ready or might not have the time that in that week, but still they see you showing up. They see you in leadership energy because you're the host of a party. You're taking a stand for what you stand for. So there's so much more happening than just the signups, than just the person who said yes, because it's also warming up people to become more ready to buy from you. Why I use launch events? Well, basically also as a lead magnet and a freebie to collect leads for people signing up. So I use it with my email. But it's also the easiest way to launch a new offer, to launch a group program. Because if you want a group, then, or like to host that party, it's really a way to put your offer on the map, to like show people that you have it.
It also warms up your audience and your leads. So they move from cold to warm to hot. Sometimes it's just from cold to warm, and then the next event they become hot, but it's really helping them move forward faster. It also establishes the authority and trust because you're in that leadership energy, because you're the host, because you're really sharing your message, everybody's hearing about it. Leads to the next step in your sales process and their transformation. So after this event, you really want to be selling an offer that makes sense in the next step in their transformation. Also, it helps you build your email list. So that's the lead magnet again, and also to grow your audience, because this is a really great time for people to join your audience. When they're checking out your Facebook profile and you're hosting this cool opening party, they want to hang out with you, right? There's more buzz, there's more energy, and you can feel that. You can feel that on somebody's profile when they're promoting something. And also when people are in your space, they have an opportunity to invite their friends, to bring their friends to your opening party. They also get in contact with you and they reach out to you. Like there's like this invitation, but they also feel more appeal to reach out to you. And you can be tracking ideal clients in your field because they are raising their hands. So you can add more people to your lead magnet or to your lead tracker, sorry. This is only interesting if you're actually speaking to quality leads. And of course, your messaging needs to be on point. You need to know who you want to call in. This is not just about big numbers. You can have a masterclass where 20 people show up and 5 people buy. You can have a masterclass where 100 people show up and nobody buys. So it's not just about the numbers. It's really about the quality of your leads. So what's your event about? Always start with a desire. Always start with the chocolate. That's why people move. That's why they want to join something. That's what they really want. So you want to talk about what they want. Talk about the desire of your ideal client. So it's an option to also talk about the one thing that is in their way right now. So what is the next or the first thing that they need to know to get on board with you to join your offer? That's a really nice way to ask yourself, like, what can I create an event about? It can even be your core content. It can even be the things that you write your posts about, but just make it a bit bigger and take up more space sharing it. And what objections do you need to handle? What are belief shifts that they need to have before they're ready to work with you? You can also give them a micro transformation, a belief shift, or a behavior activation. And this is something that I need to explain because what most of you probably have been doing, who have been doing masterclasses or webinars, is teaching the thing that you're really good at. And that is not what a masterclass is about. A masterclass is really about shifting them into being ready to buy from you. Because if they're not on board with who you are, or they don't really feel seen, they don't feel connected to you, they're not ready yet. So you want to help them on that path with the belief shift, with the behavior activation, to actually be ready for your teaching and to implement what you're teaching. You want to be using your market research here as well, and you want to test and ask your audience, like, hey, is this what you desire? Is this what I should create? How does this land for you? And it's really about being in that playful energy. You want to raise hands before you create it. So don't just create a masterclass and then see if people want it. Do it the other way around. You want to create that yes train before creating the content of the masterclass. To make sure that the market actually wants it. Because if you're just creating it for you and nobody shows up, you are wasting time. And you want to package it really based in the language of your ideal client. So you want to do permission-based marketing, and you want to ask your audience, is this something that you want me to create? That's the first way to kind of introduce, like, hey, I'm creating this. It's like a mini market research about, do you want me to do this event? And be okay with crickets. Use it as feedback. Keep optimizing. And if you do one post and you get crickets, maybe the algorithm didn't show your post. But if you do 1 or 2 weeks where you're talking about the thing and nobody signs on, something is wrong with your messaging. So you need to go back and do a little bit of market research, change some things, talk more about chocolates, talk more about the desire. Make sure it's not something that makes them look bad when they raise their hands for it. So you really want to be desire focused versus pain focused. And the best example here is, who is not signing any clients right now? If I would do that, then especially business coaches would not want to raise their hands, but also you in general probably wouldn't be like, yes, I'm not signing clients. That's me. But if I would say something like, want to attract premium clients, you're like, yeah, that sounds nice. And I will give some examples for that later. Is your marriage failing? Probably on social media, nobody's going to be, yeah, my marriage is failing. I'm still in it. He might read this post, but I'm failing at it. No. But if you say, spice up your marriage with this sexy date formula I can't say that word. Spice up your marriage with this 4-step framework or something, then they might be, oh, yeah, that sounds nice. So it's a different approach. raise hands before you create it. So you can do a short post, like be really straight to the point, like it's for this person. If you like training about this, drop an emoji here. Some examples that I made is like free training, talk to the right audience that is ready to buy your high-priced offer while vibing with them. Or doing a free masterclass, secrets to attract premium clients, charge premium prices, and make 10K month. Drop a gift for access. It doesn't have to be exactly the name of the masterclass. It can just be describing the desire. And you can even use different ones to call in people for the exact same masterclass. Then you want to reply to all comments saying something like, amazing, we'll let you know once I've created it. And you put them on the list on either your lead tracker that you have in Excel or Trello or wherever you're using it. In the Magnetic Mastermind, I show you how you can do this my way. And you create this list. And when you have the offer, you send them the invite to join. There's other places to promote it. You could do 2 or 3 posts with the call to action for the event. And if after 3 you don't hear anything and you're doing all the other things, then probably something is wrong. In your stories, you can talk about it a few days to be like, hey guys, who wants this? Make it easy, add a poll option, let them send a word to you. Just make it really simple to reply to that. Do it in your email list, maybe on other socials, other Facebook groups, if it's allowed. Really get creative and just like show people where you can show them. And in the Magnetic Mastermind, in the events, we talk more about how you can do this. There's a checklist, all these things. So you can make the checklist for yourself as well. Like, where do you want to show up? How do you want to show up? What makes sense in your case? Deliver your masterclass, really, really basic, but I just wanted to put that in here. You can deliver it through Zoom live. You can do it in a Facebook live, in an Instagram live. You can live stream it to Facebook, like I'm doing in the live sessions of the High Vibe Concept Mastery right now. You can post it on YouTube and just do it as a replay. Different options, different flavors. I'm not going to go into detail what makes sense when. It's not included in this course, but also an option to do signups. And sometimes you think I need a sign up for a masterclass. You don't, but yes, you will want to build your email list eventually. So it's an option to do a sign up, which you can do with email. I would recommend ActiveCampaign. You can do a Facebook group as a sign up place, and you can also use Calendly. How can you deliver the best masterclass? So of course, it has to do with the letap balance. You want to get people ready. So you're putting kind of like this whole transformation inside of the masterclass. You're introducing yourself, some belief shifts, some behavior shifts. You speak to the raw client and you have a clear call to action that invites them in. You want to focus on selling the outcome, and you want to have like the headline or the title of the masterclass to be really resonating with that. And once you're in, you sell them on the method. So the masterclass teaching is about the method, is connecting the dots with the chocolate and then the method. How to start your day with insane amounts of energy. We'll probably speak to people who want energy, who have that desire. Okay, so this is an example of a breathwork coach. And he could also say, so my breathwork morning session. And that doesn't give a lot of context about the desire, right? So by calling them in with insane amounts of energy, you're speaking to what your ideal client desires. And by saying, so my breathwork morning session, you're leaving it up to them to connect the dots and to know, if they already know, hey, breathwork helps with energy, or breathwork makes me feel good. You want to talk about the what and the why and not the how. And this is not like super strict, but just to give you a bit of direction of what you can talk about. And you just say like 3 steps to create a premium offer. You should know your niche, you should know your structure and how to price it. And then you say, this is important because you want to know how to price it, because you want to know how to structure it, because. So you explain the why. That's enough content. When you talk about the how, so when you go more into detail and you start teaching on how they can actually price it and all these things, most likely they will feel overwhelmed and they won't be ready to make a buy at the end. So you're trying to put everything in the masterclass, in the webinar, but it's actually overwhelming them, making them freeze, not ready to make a buying decision. And they might also think, oh, wow, I have the solution already. But the truth is, in a masterclass of 60 minutes, you are not able to teach this profound teachings to them. If they really want this big transformation of selling premium offers, like that's something that I teach in minimum 4 months in the Magnetic Mastermind, or I teach it in 12 months where we really create like this whole product suite around it and have this anchored in for life. So you cannot simply do the same in a 60-minute masterclass. And by talking too much about the how, you're overwhelming them. So you really want to prepare them for the sale, because the best place for them to hang out with you, if they really want this desire, if they really want to make that come true, is to work with you. You also can provide a mini transformation, which can be the belief shift or the tiny tangible result that you can give them, depending on what market you're in. And don't dive into teaching immediately. I will show you this in a second, but they need context. They need to be guided to be able to receive teaching. So you want to be selling in the masterclass. Don't wait until the end to sell. Really inform the people about this amazing offer that you have, so they can just start considering it already. They can prepare themselves for the actual sale. And you can do that by showing them the gap between joining a masterclass or actually joining your offer, and where you actually explain to them the best thing that can happen to you is to actually work with me, because that's where the real transformation happens. I'm limited here. Right now, we only have X amount of minutes, 1 hour, to go into this topic, and I can give you only so much. It's even with this High Vibe Content Mastery, the 6-week program, I can only give you so much, right? This is where I'm limited in teaching you all the things that I've learned over the last 4 years, working with so many coaches that I invested in heavily, being embodied in this, showing up, and I'm condensing the time for you. But also in this container, in the limitations of this container, I am teaching you. And there's no one-on-one support. There's no refinement. There's no mentoring from me happening for you personally. Also in the offer call to action, of course, you can use the same as you wrote already. So you have that already, and really take up space in your masterclass with the call to action to give people time to know why and what they are buying. You can also hint something on the sign up confirmation email or on the confirmation page. You can just hint already, hey, I'm doing this masterclass, and at the end there will be an offer. In the outline of the masterclass, you also put in the outline, like, these are the things I'm talking about. And at the end, I am going to talk about this offer for those who are really ready for it. And of course, indirect sales, mentioning that you've worked with clients, even showing client testimonials, but also just sharing stories of clients being in the offer that you're selling, and then naming the offer. The offer should have a name, should have its own branding, so you can repeat it and people can get used to the branding of the offer and know, okay, this is actually what happens there. That's really cool. Let me find out more about it. So the masterclass content structure. And this is where a lot of you will have this eye-opener, where I had this eye-opener, because the basics of a masterclass content structure are headline, body, call to action. Basically the same as creating a post, very, very basic. You have a title, you have the thing inside, and you have the call to action. But to give you a little bit more insight in what this looks like, and you can also watch my masterclasses and see how I implement this, but you have an introduction that is 20 minutes, when the teaching is also 20 minutes. So it's the same amount of time. Most of the time, people rush into going to the teachings because that's what they know, that's what they want to give. But your people, your audience, your ideal client needs to ease into this. They need the foreplay, they need the warm up, they need to know that they can trust you before you dive in with the teaching. So the introduction is starting with the title, what we will cover. So there's like clarity, there's like agreement, like, hey, this is what we're going to talk about. If you're here for it, that's awesome. You're qualifying the audience. So you're saying, this is for you if this is the mistakes that people who will benefit from this might have experienced now or might experience now. And you just kind of like qualify them. You show like the type of person that you want to listen to this. That person will feel so much more seen, like they can trust you, like you understand them, you know what's going on. And if it's not for them, they might leave, and that's totally fine, because yeah, they're not going to benefit from the masterclass that you're creating, right? Then you want to paint a picture of the desire with a short story or example, which can be combined with you introducing yourself. It can be client testimonials. You really want to like introduce yourself, also including the love factor, so to show a bit of your vulnerability, your values, your vibe, for people to actually be able to really love you. And you can just do a relevant breakthrough story. So you can talk about the breakthrough that you had that is relevant for this specific offer you're selling at the end. So within your introduction, you're already shifting beliefs. You're already showing them, hey, this is how I thought about things, and this is what changed for me. Then you're talking about, why is this topic that we're talking about today important? And then you're showing some results and social proof if you haven't already. And you can mix this a little bit, but you will see if you're missing these elements, people are not going to be recepting or as like they're not going to be receiving of your teaching. And then the teaching itself is just 20 minutes. It's just presenting a solution. It's just a little bit of proof, example, storytelling, metaphors, like just making them ready. And it says 10 minutes. It's just 20 minutes. I don't know why it says 10 there. Then you can smoothly connect it to the call to action. Like we talked about already last session about creating the call to action, how you can weave that in with a bridge sentence. And then you use the call to action for your offer and you speak to that 5 to 10 minutes. You can create slides for it. You can just stop the slides. You can just speak to the audience directly. It doesn't have to be complicated, but you do want to use this call to action with the framework, with the structure that I taught you in the beginning already and in the last session. You will see that some of the things in the introduction are the same as what you already created for the call to action. No need to do that differently, to do it again. You can use all these things. Like if you already wrote down, this is for you if, put it in the slides. If you already created this breakthrough story about this offer, put it there. Like it's about repeating the same things that work and get them ready. Then timeline launch events. This is just to give you an overview, and there's no science again, but this will give you like some structure. Brainstorm ideas to lead into the offer you want to sell. So to really think like, what should I create for an event? Then do some mini market research, ask your audience if they want it, and collect the first leads and send them an invite. And then you want to be promoting for 1 to 2 weeks, which can already be combined with the market research. And you want to write relevant content about this topic to invite them into the event, to show them this is why you should show up at the event. You can also already drop hints about the offer here. Then you host the event, and it's a 1 or multiple day event, depending on what you decide to do. And then you promote your offer and the replay of the event, because people watching the event have so much more already to make a decision to buy from you. So you want to also give people the opportunity to watch that replay. And of course, there should be a deadline. There should be a limited amount of time for people to actually show up for it. You promote your offer and the replay maybe for a week, maybe shorter, maybe only 2 days, whatever feels good. And then you promote the offer for 2 weeks, especially when you're new and your audience is not completely warmed up, or when you're doing this sequence for the first time. Give yourself the time. 2 weeks before the event, 2 weeks after the event, a full month. Later, you can do it shorter. Then you remove the replay of the masterclass. And after the 2 weeks, you close the card, or you close the special promotion that made it extra nice to join right now. A reminder, you are not only you're not only expecting sales from everybody who watches the masterclass, you're expecting sales even from your consistent content. People are watching, people are ready. Not everybody needs a launch event to buy. Some people might, some people don't. Some people are activated by seeing you do it, but they don't actually join. Expect clients to come from everywhere. And then if you have the effect of a launch event, you will see the normal one I showed you with the black. A launch event just boosts the sales at the introduction. It boosts everywhere. So it's just a little bit extra everywhere. And that's why I love launch events, for more sales, but also to activate your hot leads, and to save those hot leads for the next time when they are actually ready. And you're constantly growing your audience with this. 7 things to not do with launches. The first one is create random offers that don't fit in your product suite. We talked about this really when you're wanting to scale your business, especially beyond 5 to 10K per month, and you want to do it effortlessly without showing up all the time. Your product suite is so freaking important. Don't introduce your offer to a cold audience. You've seen it. Peak sales don't happen when you're introducing it to a cold audience. Start from scratch without strategy or timeline. You do want to implement these things that I'm teaching you here. Otherwise, you're just doing random shit. And create a launch event where you're only teaching. When you're only talking about the broccoli, people are not going to show up for that. You want to have this mix of desire and lead with desire, get people in with the desire, and then get them on agreement with your method inside of the teachings, inside of the masterclass. While also, of course, your consistent content is doing the same with the chocolate and the broccoli. Abandon your launch plan. Tweaking is fine, changing not. We talked about this. Only speak to logic or only speak to emotions. When you're feeling that people are not deciding right now, when they're not choosing to commit right now, something is missing there. And most of the time, it's the emotions, it's the urgency, the internal urgency that you're not speaking to enough. Sometimes it's really not the time. And that's also something to honor. But most people are not making a decision because they don't feel ready. And when they don't feel ready, it's because they are not activated by speaking to their emotions, to activating their desire more. And it could also be, if you are more on the emotional side of things, that they actually missed some of the logic, that they missed some of the practical information about why to join right now. Heavy mindset around launching, abandoning your normal routines during a launch. And lunch is just another day. It's nothing special. It's just you deciding to show up in this energy of holding space and having this momentum going on. But it doesn't mean that you need to do crazy things or abandon your normal routines. There's no need for that. Most people who have heavy launches just have heavy launches because of their mindsets, because they're thinking it's heavy. And I've been this person. I've not gone to dinners with friends because I was in a launch, but actually now I'm doing the opposites. I'm creating space for that. So I'm more relaxed. My energy is more magnetic. I'm doing the things I love even more when I'm launching. That's also why I like preparing before the launch. So during the launch, I have this baseline. I can add whatever I want. And then I actually, I just take care of myself. I do extra breath work during these phases. I am extra mindful. I go on more walks. That's my preferred way to launch. Homework, write down what you can improve for your next or first launch. And also if you want to do a launch, I didn't put it here, but write down when you're going to do a launch to make it more specific. Brainstorm 10 ideas for masterclasses that lead into your main offer. I'm gonna make this more specific for you. Do 1 week of hand raise activities about the number one masterclass that excites you most. And here, write down what you can improve for your next launch. Decide when you're doing your next launch. Next week, the content creation and repurposing system that makes it possible to show up daily with high quality content without feeling stressed or pressure. Very excited to share this. It's the last session already. And this is gonna really give you this overview of how you can make this all work together, work for you, how you can build this system. And I'm so excited to be sharing this with you. If you have any questions, you can drop them in the question box for the live rounds, and share your aha moments from today with me. Even if you're watching the replay, I'm not answering questions there, but I would love for you to share aha moments about how this is landing, what you're changing, what is really hitting home. I have a few questions. Ashley Lily asked, how important do you think it is to optimize your posting times? How do you recommend we work out the best times to post for our audience? Personally, I am not overthinking this. I wouldn't overthink this if I were you as well. Just think about your audience and the time zone that you're in. And you want to post probably when most people are awake, because the algorithm wants to see that people are engaging with your content before they show it to more people. So when people are awake, there's the biggest chance of them to engage, and there's the biggest chance of your post to be picked up by the algorithm. So that's the only advice that I would give here, but don't overthink it. Question 2, Erin, she first asked, what do you use to make your slides for each of the sessions? They look great. Thank you very much. I don't do anything special with it. It's just on Google PowerPoint. So it's normal PowerPoint presentation. I am actually gonna up-level the branding. I'm right now creating my brand new website. The layout is so gorgeous. So I'm gonna up-level with the slides as well. But these are details. And if you don't have any layout going on, I would just recommend to pick a few colors that you repeatedly use and a font that you use, and that's it. Keep it really simple, focus on the content, providing the value. You don't even need slides. Some of my coaches are just sharing or just talking. I'm going to experiment more with that in the future as well. Even for your masterclass, you don't need slides. You just need text. You can share, you can talk. I've done it a couple of times. It also works really well. It's just a different flavor. How many posts or emails should you do leading up to a launch to invite people to your event? So I think we covered that already. 1 or 2 weeks, just showing up in like the best possible energy, making sure it's visible, everybody knows about it. And if it's not landing, then you can abort mission, because you need to go back to the drawing table and do some market research and change the messaging. Totally fine to not host an event if you're not feeling it. But also, if you have a few signups, really give it all, like show up for them. You could also think of like extending for a week if you see there are signups and you want more, but also have that consistency, the commitments that you're doing, follow through with them. It's a bit of a dance. And what key elements are included? We talked about that. What are key elements of an event to motivate potential clients to buy? Yeah, we talked about that, about the structure, and really that shift. And Erin was here live yesterday when I did this recording. And she also shared that that was the thing that hit home for her most, to really the aha moment of focusing on the introduction and having people feel seen and safe in that whole first 20 minutes, and that it's the same length as the actual teaching. What are follow-up strategies from the event to motivate potential clients to buy? This is out of scope of the content course, so I'm not going to answer this. If you want more support with follow-up strategies, with how to do sales calls, what type of offers to create, really this whole sales system where you can consistently sell, then I highly recommend to talk with me about the magnetic. And this is really the time for you to be reaching out to me, because yeah, like the 500 euro discount is for 2 more weeks. This is the 4th week. We only have 2 more to go. And when you have this 500 euro discount, you can use it to start either the next round or the round after. So if you feel like you don't have the time and the space right now, you can already share with me that you're committed, that you want this, and we can figure out how that looks for you. The Magnetic Mastermind really gives you a lot more support than what you're getting here, because this is, of course, a group container. It's just me presenting these teachings. And I would love for you guys who have been in the High Vibe Content Mastery and who feel this call and are like, yes, I'm ready for refinement. I'm ready for actually having this whole overview of my business, that everything makes sense, that I really understand what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, where I'm going with it. I would love to help you and guide you on that path. Yeah, nobody's left with me here today, so this is it. And thank you so much. I would love to receive aha moments from you. I would love to hear how this has landed. And I will see you on the next one. Have a beautiful day.